In Dear Granny, Montha returns home without her mother, making her daughter Nulek super frustrated and anxious about the future.
So much so that she ends up throwing a bowl at her, a tantrum of sorts because the kid feels like she's been raised by her grandmother and she doesn't really care for Montha. She even calls her by her first name and berates her for not knowing how to look after her own mother. The frustration is palpable as she storms out of the room. Nulek spends most of her time texting a friend named Alice online about how she doesn't like her mother and wishes she would die.
When she says her grandmother is missing, she gets a reply saying that she might be playing with her, like a game of hide and seek. Nulek feels a chill run down her spine.
On the other hand, Nulek also notices that there's a stranger who keeps peeping into their house, a pervert to make matters worse for her. This added to her growing unease. In the meantime, Montha has no choice but to resort to religious prayer to find her mother. She takes a pair of her shoes and visits a shaman.
Tie up your mother's favorite pair of shoes and place them on her bed. It'll help guide her back home. But if your thoughts are distracted, you might invite something else into your home. Make sure it's your mother you're thinking about on the drive home.
I don't know, but I do know that it's always the animals that pay the price of death first in horror. And in the flicker of a candle, the truth is revealed. Three days later, Nulek's grandmother comes back home. The next day, when Montha's gone off to work, Nulek searches the house for her grandmother, feeling uneasy. When she goes to her grandmother's room, she finds a bowl under the bed that's moving on its own. When she tries to go near it, something climbs onto her arm, and she freaks out and rushes back to her room, her heart pounding in her chest. However, hiding under her sheets, she turns around to find a ghastly face looking straight at her. When she scrambles off the bed, the sheets rise as if there's someone under it. When Nulek removes the sheets, it's her grandmother, and Nulek feels relieved. I suppose Nulek hates her mother because she feels abandoned by her. She doesn't see how hard her single mother worked to give her the things she has. There's definitely something. At home, Nulek is all smiles with her grandmother and asks her to sing her a lullaby. She feels a sense of comfort and love that she misses from her mother. At work, Montha gets a terrifying call. Her mother's body has been found on the riverbank, which means whatever the thing is at home isn't her mom. She's paralyzed with fear. At home, Nulek is horrified when her grandmother morphs into a monster and vomits up a handful of eels on her. This seems to be some sort of eerie foreshadowing. Nulek tries to run away, and her grandmother tells her that they've got to play hide and seek, but if she finds her, she'll stab her with a knife. Yikes. Nulek hides in the kitchen, hoping to stay safe, but is found because obviously it's not her grandmother, but an evil entity. Nulek tries to make her way out of the house through her bathroom window after her grandma slices her ear off. She gets stuck on the glass at the base of the window but somehow jumps out just in time with a gaping wound on her stomach. I've got to admit, this scene was way too dragged out and didn't work at all. It felt like it lasted forever. Eventually, Nulek ends up on the street and gets hit by a car. But the person who steps out of the car is actually Montha, and she picks up a pair of shoes that are tied up off the road and puts them in her back seat to reveal that they have a picture of Nulek on them. Montha's sinister expression hints at a deeper connection. In Dear Granny's ending, the episode does a quick rewind, and we learn that Nulek's dead too. So the bowl from the first bit flew across the room on its own. Also, the perverted neighbor, he was never real.
He thinks he's a paranormal investigator making a video about the haunted house that Montha lives in. He reveals that Montha lives alone in the house, haunted by memories. Her daughter died after running away and getting hit by a car, leaving Montha in sorrow.
But by the end of the episode, the grandma shows up in the pervert's house along with Nulek, and his neck is slashed. The horror continues.